Billionaire discovers shocking secret. New wife's hidden cruelty exposed, leading to life-changing decision. Jake Wilson's heart raced as he stared down at the polished floor of the grand ballroom. Just weeks into his marriage to Rebecca, a woman straight out of an opulent fairy tale, everything in his life seemed to teeter on the edge. With a wistful look back at his Midwestern roots, he couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister lurked beneath the surface of their glamorous union. He had fought tooth and nail to build his billion-dollar empire, and now the world he'd always dreamed of felt threatening, as if his new life enveloped him like a rich, suffocating velvet. As he sipped his champagne, Jake caught a whispered exchange between two guests. "Can you believe how she spoke to Linda?" one said, incredulous. "Like a commoner." The laugh that followed felt like a knife striking deep into his gut. He'd always prided himself on lifting others up, yet here stood the woman he loved, barreling down a path defined by privilege and cruelty. His heart sank. This wasn't the Rebecca he believed he married. Hadn't always been like this? He remembered their first few dates, sharing laughter and dreams under the stars, the thunderous sound of laughter intermingling with the crickets in the night. She had a charm that pulled him in, making him feel whole in a world that often felt incomplete. But weeks after their stunning wedding, a storm began to brew. Each careless quip she made about his employees or even their friends from back home chipped away at the lovey-dovey veneer he had carefully built around their love. One evening, Jake's instincts overpowered his heart when he witnessed Rebecca's icy demeanor firsthand. During a charity gala, Jake watched his longtime employee, Sarah, approach Rebecca to discuss a project that could improve community outreach. But instead of embracing Sarah's enthusiasm, Rebecca unleashed her venomous remarks, her voice dripping with disdain. "How quaint. Do you seriously think you can come up with something useful?" The gasps from nearby guests echoed like thunderclaps in an already heavy atmosphere. Jake winced, feeling the air thicken around him. "Rebecca," he whispered, but she cast him a withering glance. A part of him wanted to bolt to Sarah's side to comfort her, to apologize for the poison spewing from his new wife. Each harsh word turned up the volume on his internal conflict, and he wrestled with uprooting the love he felt for her and the values rooted deep within him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Desperate to cling to the remnants of the man he once was, Jake started reconnecting with old friends, the ones who had cheered him on since high school. They bonded over barbecues, shared stories of hardship, and celebrated the virtues of honesty and humility. Each reunion reignited forgotten pieces of his soul, casting a shadow against Rebecca's relentless pursuit of wealth and status. When he redirected his focus back to his roots, he felt a flicker of hope, illuminated by the warmth of community and love. But every time he attempted to raise his concerns with Rebecca, she brushed them off like a speck of dust. The schism between them widened, leaving Jake hovering at a precipice of despair. Could he really love her while watching the foundations of his values crumble? Standing at that fateful gala, tension fueled the air around him. All eyes turned toward this once-coveted couple. Jake felt the weight of judgment and the stirrings of courage welling within. Should he stand by the woman wrapped in finery or reach back to the truth of his heart, forged in sweat and sacrifice? With uncertainty gripping him, he opened his mouth to speak, and in that instant, everything teetered on a knife's edge, leaving the audience breathless with anticipation as they awaited his final revelation. Just because we wear the clothes of the elite doesn't mean we're any better than the people we look down upon, Jake finally said, his voice steady despite the tremors of uncertainty beneath. The room fell silent. He could feel the weight of every gaze, as if the crowd had drawn closer, waiting for a shift in the air. Rebecca's eyes widened, disbelief mingling with outrage. "What did you just say?" she hissed, her cool facade cracking like glass. The sharpness of her tone threatened to pierce the moment, but Jake stood firm, his resolve steeling. I said, "It's not about the money or the status, Rebecca. It's about being decent, about treating everyone with respect," he replied, his heart pounding in his chest. There was a hint of desperation in his voice, but also a glimmer of determination. He felt the pull of values he had almost forgotten in the whirlpool of wealth and glamour. A murmur rippled through the guests, some exchanging astonished glances. It was rare for anyone to challenge Rebecca, and they didn't quite know how to react. Jake could see a faint reflection of himself in their startled expressions. The same disbelief he felt upon witnessing his wife's transformation. Rebecca's lips pressed together, a thin line of rage forming. She leaned into Jake, her voice low but sharp. "You're embarrassing me in front of everyone. This isn't the time or place for such nonsense." "Nonsense?" He couldn't mask the disbelief that colored his tone. "This is exactly the time. Maybe if you took a moment to consider how your words affect others, you'd see the damage you're causing." The words hung between them like a taut wire ready to snap. Around them, whispers grew louder, a mix of shock and intrigue as the guests shifted, leaning in to catch every bit of the brewing storm. Jake's old friends had joined the crowd, simple joys from simpler lives, now awash in this stark contrast of wealth and privilege. "I've supported you through everything," Rebecca shot back, her anger palpable. "This is how we maintain our status. I thought you were on board with living the life we've built." "It's not the life I wanted." Jake stopped himself, feeling the fracture deepen. "I didn't realize it had to come at the cost of my morals, my values, the things I hold dear." He watched as her expression shifted, those beautiful features now twisted with something ugly. "You're betraying me," she whispered, her voice trembling not with fear, but with the threat of losing control. "I'm not betraying you, Rebecca. I'm confronting the truth." There it was, a heartbeat of clarity in a swirling storm. With each word he spoke, Jake felt lighter, but the shadows of doubt still loomed, casting eerie narratives in his mind. Was this truly going to change anything? Would she listen? And if she didn't, what would come next? As Rebecca's fury smoldered, Jake turned his gaze toward the crowd, their faces a gallery of reactions. Some offered support, while others looked on in derision. The chasm between them was now a swirling abyss, pulling at his heart. This could either be the dawn of a new path or the final moment of their union. Suddenly, behind him, a familiar voice echoed, "Jake, wait." He turned to see Linda from earlier, her face pale yet determined, as if she held a secret that could change everything. His heart raced not just from the confrontation, but from the realization that a larger revelation might be unfolding. What truth did she hold? As he locked eyes with her, he silently prayed for clarity, while the uncertain future continued to loom ahead. He had taken a stand, but would it be enough? And what lay in store when the truth threatened to unravel everything he fought for, including the heart of the woman he married? Linda stepped closer, her brow furrowed and eyes glistening, as if she were about to unveil a kaleidoscope of emotions. The crowded hall felt like a pressure cooker, tension seeping between Jake and Rebecca while Linda's mouth opened slightly, ready to pour out something significant. "Jake, I saw Rebecca with someone else," she said, her voice just above a whisper, but the intensity in her tone carried like a steel blade through the air. The crowd, previously buzzing with gossip, seemed to hold its breath, every conversation evaporating into the desperate silence that enveloped them. Jake's heart dropped. "What do you mean, saw her?" he asked, trying to keep the tremor from his voice, but failing. He caught a glimpse of Rebecca's eyes widening, her internal composure cracking like ice under the heat of a relentless sun. "Just last week at that fundraiser," Linda continued, glancing nervously at Rebecca, as if she wished to retract her words. "She was talking to someone. Close. It didn't look professional." Jake felt bile rise in his throat. He remembered that evening, the laughter, the magnetic charm that had intertwined their lives for so long. He replayed in his mind the moments he thought were filled with trust and yet felt like they were hinged on deceit. "Linda, stop!" Rebecca's voice was sharp, caustic. You have no idea what you're talking about. Her defiance, laced with desperation, only further fueled Jake's spiraling thoughts. I saw it, Rebecca. You can't deny it. Linda pressed on, her bravery igniting a flicker of hope and fear inside Jake. Maybe this was the moment he needed. Maybe it was the revelation that would draw the line in the sand. Rebecca glared at Linda, her normally composed exterior fracturing further, revealing a glimpse of panic. You're just trying to cause drama to make yourself feel better, she snapped, but the tremor in her voice undercut her bravado. Jake felt anger boil over, mingling with confusion. Is it true? He demanded, stepping closer. Did you betray us? This isn't the person I married. Rebecca. I thought you were someone better. Each word felt like a puncture in the balloon of their life together. The audience watched, rapt with attention, as if the enormity of the moment had transformed them into silent witnesses of a tragedy. He could feel the weight of their scrutiny bearing down. Suddenly, the silence shattered as Rebecca spoke, her voice trembling yet filled with pride. You don't understand the world I live in, Jake. This game we play, it's bigger than you or me. I'm doing what needs to be done to maintain our status. Every syllable hit him hard. His heart felt fragmented as he processed her admission. This wasn't a game for him. It had always been about love, respect, the foundation of everything he believed in. And what about our love? He challenged, desperation leaking into his words. What does that mean to you if this is all just transactions? If it's just a strategy? Her eyes flickered with something he couldn't decipher. Was it realization, regret, or was it just anger finding a new home? You wouldn't understand, Rebecca whispered, her voice barely audible, gaze drifting as if searching for something lost. At that moment, Jake felt a whirlwind of emotions. Betrayed, scared, but still hopeful that maybe this confrontation could rekindle the spark they once had. Maybe it's you who doesn't understand, he replied, his voice gaining strength. We have to be honest with each other. A relationship built on deception only leads to destruction. As he spoke, Linda stepped back, allowing Jake and Rebecca the space to confront the crumbling truth between them. But before the tension could spiral into resolution, a sharp sound cut through the thick air. A phone vibrated loudly against the polished floor. Everyone turned, bewildered, as Rebecca's phone screen lit up with an unknown name. The moment hung, charged with potential chaos, and Jake's heart raced again. He knew that whatever was on the other side of that call could shift everything once more. What if it's something important? Rebecca's voice wavered. The concern in her tone felt so genuine. Yet Jake couldn't shake the feeling that honesty was slippery, and mysteries preferred the shadows. Before he could respond, she picked up the phone, her expression shifting from concern to shock. What? No. The color drained from her face as she listened, the room tightening around them like a vice. What is it? Jake asked, the urgency in his voice rising. But as Rebecca mouthed words of disbelief, he understood without her answering. Something deep and unsettling was about to flood their world, and he couldn't help but wonder what was the next truth that would emerge from this rattling storm. Rebecca's grip tightened around her phone, knuckles white. Jake's heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing the uncertainty swirling within him. Whispers filled the hall, blending into a cacophony of speculation. He could see the colors draining from Rebecca's face as she recoiled slightly from the radiant screen. Who is it? Jake's question was sharper now, laced with rising anxiety. He leaned closer, trying to catch a glimpse of the name flashing across the screen. Instead of her reassuring smile, he was met with a look of sheer terror. The crowd shifted restlessly, their curious eyes darting between Jake and Rebecca, sensing their unraveling connection. It was a moment of high stakes, and Jake felt every pair of eyes on him, as if the very air was thick with judgment. I don't know, she stammered, her voice trembling. Tears threatened to pool in her eyes. It's a number I don't recognize. Her brow creased in worry, and for the first time, Jake noticed how small she looked amid the chaos of the gathering. Maybe it's just a mistake, Jake tried to offer, but even he could hear the doubt laced in his own words. Deep down, he sensed that this wasn't just some random call. Rebecca hesitated, her gaze darting around the hall. The tension hung, thick and almost unbearable. "I need to take this outside," she finally said, her voice distant as she turned away, almost in slow motion, her mind already somewhere else. Fear rushed through Jake. "Wait, don't go out there alone," he called after her, but it was too late. She pushed through the crowd, her heels tapping sharply against the hardwood floor, and just like that, she was gone. Jake stood frozen for a moment, rooted in the same spot where they had confronted their reality. Linda glanced at him, a mixture of pity and concern written across her features. "You should follow her," she urged softly, nudging him gently with her shoulder. The crowd began to murmur again, their collective interest shifting back to less explosive topics, though Jake could still feel eyes lingering on him, measuring, judging. With unsteady legs, he moved toward the exit. As he reached the door, he could already hear the hushed tones of Rebecca's voice outside. It sent a shiver down his spine. What news could possibly come from that call, and why did it seem to dig deeper into the rift forming between them? He stepped into the cool night air, trying to capture the remnants of warmth that had once radiated from their relationship. There she was, pacing back and forth, her phone pressed tightly to her ear. The shadows cast by the streetlights made her look fragile, small in the world that had felt so big just hours ago. "Rebecca," he started, but she held up a hand, signaling him to wait. "No," she shouted suddenly, her voice cracking. "I can't believe you would do this to me." The intensity of her words sent shockwaves through him. Curiosity clawed at Jake. Who was she speaking to? What's happening? He urged, stepping closer to her, but she was too lost in the conversation to notice. "I trusted you," she cried out again, and Jake felt his heart splinter. The sharp pang of betrayal coursed through him like ice. Who was she speaking to if not him? Something twisted within him, a mixture of anger and confusion. It was clear that whatever revelation awaited him wasn't just from Linda's initial accusations, but something deeper, something that could potentially unravel more than just their fragile trust. "Rebecca," he called again, desperation creeping into his voice. "Please tell me what's going on." She slowly turned her head, eyes wide, fear and anger intermingling. "You don't get it, do you?" she snapped, her free hand clenching into a fist. "This isn't just about us. This goes far beyond that. What does that even mean?" He shot back, caught in the whirlpool of emotions. Just as he was about to step closer, she said the words that would haunt him. "The truth is bigger than either of us can handle. I wish I could explain, but I can't." In that moment, Jake felt the ground beneath him shift. The world around him felt unsteady, and the dark fog thickened with unanswered questions. Was this the breaking point for them? And when would he finally discover the full, shocking truth? Would he want to know what lay beneath her carefully curated facade? Just then, her phone suddenly went silent, and Rebecca's face blanched. "It's him," she murmured, her eyes darting back to the screen. A fleeting glimpse of dread washed over her features, as if what she would reveal next might alter everything. "Who?" Jake asked, desperation clawing at his throat. Rebecca inhaled sharply, words dancing on the tip of her tongue, the night now heavy with anticipation. "The one from the call he knows." And just like that, the foundations they built began to tremble, the magnitude of their unraveling relationship stretching out before them like a chasm waiting to be crossed. Jake's mind raced. Could this night bring them closer or drive them further apart? What kind of truth emerged from someone held in such importance to her? As the shadows deepened around them, he realized with a jolt that the only way forward would mean plunging into the depths of their chaotic lives together or apart. Rebecca's breath quickened, each inhalation a mix of dread and anticipation. She glanced at Jake, her expression a battlefield of confusion and anger. The phone slipped slightly in her grip, the reality of the situation crashing over her. She was moments away from revealing something that could shatter them both. "Who knows what?" Jake pressed, the urgency in his voice sharpening with each word. He had never seen her like this, tense and vibrating with suppressed energy. The words she kept holding back felt like a time bomb ticking in the silence between them. Rebecca looked away, as if searching for clarity in the darkness beyond the streetlight's glow. I can't explain right now," she whispered, fear evident in her shaky tone. The vulnerability in her voice cut through Jake like a knife. "Then what do you want me to do? Just stand here while you hide this?" His voice rose, laced with frustration. He wanted to reach out and pull her close, to share the burden she was carrying. But instead, the distance between them felt insurmountable. "Just, please." The pleading in her eyes made his heart ache. "I need you to trust me." Trust. The word echoed, heavy with meaning. How could he trust the person standing in front of him when she was entangled with whatever secret haunted her? "You're asking for something that feels impossible right now," he admitted, his voice faltering. In that moment, a wave of realization washed over Rebecca. She took a step back, visible pain etched across her features. "You don't understand. If I tell you, it changes everything. I don't know how you'll react. I don't know how I'll react." Each word fell from her lips like stones, creating ripples in the space between them. Jake ran a hand through his hair, frustration battling with a spark of understanding. This wasn't easier for her, and the fear in her eyes told him that whatever answer waited in the shadows, it was something she'd rather not confront. "Then tell me anything," he urged, determination fueling his voice. "Just show me that you're still in this with me." Rebecca's gaze flickered, uncertainty brewing. "You might not like what you hear," she hesitated, every second stretching long into the night. "Care about you, Rebecca. What could possibly be worse than losing you like this?" She inhaled deeply, steeling herself as if preparing to leap off a cliff. "It's about my past and someone who knows everything." Jake felt the ground shift beneath him yet again. "What do you mean, your past? Who is this person?" Anxiety mingled with a flicker of support from deep within him. He needed her to know he was on her side, no matter how dark the truth might be. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Someone I thought I left behind. Someone who has been watching me and now they're back." The tremor in her tone sent chills racing down his spine. "Watching you?" Jake felt a knot form in his stomach. "Why? What do they want? And why do you think they're a threat?" The fear in Rebecca's eyes deepened, and for a fleeting moment, Jake saw her vulnerability turn into resolve. "Because they want something I can't give, and their demands could destroy everything we have." As the world around them faded into a murmur of night sounds, a realization dawned on Jake. The person on the other end of Rebecca's call wasn't just a ghost from her past. They were a looming storm that threatened their very existence. But before he could ask more, the phone buzzed again, lighting up her face. She winced, and he could see her walls rising back up. It's him again. In that moment, Jake felt a surge of protectiveness. "You don't have to talk to him. I'm here, Rebecca. We can face this together." Rebecca shook her head, a thunderstorm of emotions crossing her face. "You don't understand. He won't let me walk away this time, and if I don't answer..." Just then, the phone rang again, its shrill sound slicing through the tension. Her hands trembled as she lifted it, casting an indecipherable gaze at Jake. "Answer it," Jake urged, heart pounding. "You need to take control." With a trembling breath, Rebecca stared at the phone, the colors of the screen reflecting worlds of uncertainty. Jake held his breath, feeling the air thicken. Would this be the moment that led to their redemption, or the one that shattered them entirely? As she hesitated, the screen illuminated with a picture, a familiar face he never expected to see. The realization hit him like a freight train, unraveling everything they had built as he whispered, "Oh no, not him." And just like that, the darkness closed in. Jake knew the truth could flip their world upside down, but could he handle what was about to come? Would the revelation bring them closer or tear them apart forever? Rebecca's heart raced as she stared at the phone's screen. The familiar face of Ethan, someone from her past whom she never wanted to see again, now flashed before her like a haunting reminder of everything she thought she left behind. The weight of that moment pressed down on her. It felt like the walls were closing in, and her stomach twisted with fear. "What are you thinking?" Jake's voice broke through her turmoil, urgent yet laced with concern. She could see the torment in his eyes, the way he struggled to piece together the fragments of her world that were spilling out. I can't let him back in," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. The words hung between them, fragile yet heavy. "But if you don't answer, what will happen?" Jake's frustration shifted to desperation. "We can't keep running from this." With a swift motion, Rebecca silenced the phone, but the damage was already done. Each ring had echoed warnings in her mind. "You don't understand what he is capable of. He knows things about me, things that could destroy us," she said, her voice rising with urgency. "Then we face it together. Whatever he knows, we can handle it as a team." His determination pushed against her fear, but the memories of Ethan's manipulation clawed at her resolve. How could she put Jake in danger? "Ethan doesn't play fair, Jake," she breathed, panic trembling through her words. "He thrives on chaos. If he feels backed into a corner, he'll fight dirty. He is not in control of this situation." "You are," Jake said, stepping closer, bridging the gap between their hearts. "You're stronger than you think, Rebecca. Those shadows from your past won't claim your future unless you let them." Rebecca's breath faltered. She could see the unwavering faith in his eyes, and it ignited something inside her. Hope mingled with fear. What Jake was saying made sense, but the thought of confrontation sent shivers down her spine. "What if I can't handle it?" "You can." Jake's hand reached for hers, wrapping around it, grounding her. "Look at me. We're in this together." For a second, time stood still. She took a deep breath, searching his gaze for reassurance. What if this was just the calm before the storm? But there was no turning back now. The truth lurked in the shadows, ready to pounce. "But what if he wants something I can't give, Jake? What if it means risking everything?" Her voice trembled, caught between uncertainty and a flicker of resolve. "Then we'll fight for it. Together." His eyes sparkled with an unwavering light, challenging the darkness that threatened to consume them. But just then, Rebecca's phone buzzed again. The darkness seemed to thicken as her heart raced in tandem with the continued calls from Ethan. A chill shot through her as she thought about the path ahead. How would she confront this man? What price would she have to pay? Taking a deep breath, she stepped back, letting go of Jake's hand reluctantly. "I have to do this, Jake. I need to confront him. I need to show him I'm not that person anymore." "Are you sure you can?" Jake asked, concern etched into every syllable. "I have to. I won't let him control my life any longer," she declared, determination rising. Yet, just as she felt the flicker of empowerment, her phone rang again, the screen illuminating the dark night. The name flashing back at her felt like a verdict. Jake's face turned serious, the tension returning to the air like a heavy fog. "Then let us do it together, Rebecca. No matter what," he reiterated, stepping closer, ready to back her up against any fear. She nodded, but as she reached for the phone, dread clawed at her again. What if this was a mistake? With a deep breath, she pressed the answer button. "Hello?" The voice on the other end was smooth, dangerous, and all too familiar. "Ah, Rebecca. I was wondering when you'd finally pick up." Each syllable hung in the air, dark and unyielding. The fight for her fate was about to unfold, but would she come out victorious, or was she walking straight into a trap? As she braced herself for battle, she couldn't shake the feeling that this confrontation would change everything. "Rebecca," Ethan continued, his voice dripping with faux concern, "I didn't think you'd let it go this far. It's good to hear your voice, but I must admit, I'm disappointed it took you so long to answer. I thought you were stronger than that." His words were poison, raising the hairs on her arms. A cold wave of fury rolled through her. "What do you want, Ethan?" she managed to ask, her heart racing against her ribcage. "Oh, sweet Rebecca," he cooed, "what I want is simple. I want to see you. Just you and me like old times. And just to talk, of course." Jake's hand was on her arm, a silent reminder that he was at her side. The heat from his touch flowed through her, granting her the strength she desperately needed. "I want to meet you," she declared, her voice steadying. You're the last person I want to see. Is that so? Ethan replied, his tone shifting dangerously. You realize every moment you refuse me takes us straight back to those days when I controlled the narrative? I wouldn't want your new boyfriend to get hurt or your job, for that matter. A chill settled deep in her stomach. What did he know? The shadows of her past loomed even larger now, taunting her. If you think you can intimidate me, think again. I'm done being afraid of you. A low chuckle echoed from the other end. Courage is admirable, Rebecca, but it's misplaced. You have no idea what I'm capable of. Do you? You think you've moved on? But I'm still a part of your story, whether you like it or not. His tone twisted into something colder, merciless. Jake leaned closer, concern etched across his features. She could feel the anxious energy radiating from him. We need to end this, Rebecca. This phone call, this is already too much. No, she whispered, refusing to let Ethan win. A fire ignited within her. I won T back down. Ethan sighed dramatically. You really should consider my offer. Otherwise, I may just be inclined to reveal a few secrets of my own. And trust me, they 1T paint you in a favorable light. The threat hung like a storm cloud, but Rebecca fought to keep her composure. You know what? Go ahead. Reveal whatever you want. The truth is on my side. There was a moment of silence. Ethan seemed uncharacteristically taken aback. Oh, Rebecca, you've always had a flair for the dramatic. Let us just say, I know more than you think. His words echoed in her mind. Jake squeezed her arm tighter as bitterness gnawed at her insides. Rebecca, he said softly, let us get out of here. But before she could respond, Ethan continued with an edge of twisted joy. I'll be in town this week. Let us make this interesting, shall we? I'll be waiting and I can't wait to see what unfolds. The line went dead. Panic surged in her veins. The stillness left in wake of his voice was deafening. She quickly glanced at Jake, whose face was a mixture of anger and fear. What did he mean? What does he know? Jake demanded, his voice a low rumble. I don't know. Rebecca stuttered, the tremor of her truth threatening to fracture her resolve. Memories of the past wrapped around her heart like a vice. We need a plan. We can't just let him have free rein to twist your life into chaos, he said, urgency lacing his words. But what if confronting him only makes things worse? Her eyes searched his, looking for clarity in the spiraling chaos. What if secrets come out that can't be put back? I believe in fighting for a future free from shadows, Jake replied. The weight of his words pressed against her, as if each syllable was a bond of strength about to be formed. As she took a deep breath, a familiar tug of determination coiled within her. Then let us make our plan. I 1T let him win. Not again. The air around them felt electric, a crackling tension hanging between courage and fear. Time felt suspended, and Rebecca knew she was standing on the precipice of something monumental. But what if in seeking to confront Ethan, she was risking more than just her peace? In that moment, she felt the ground shift beneath her feet, a reminder that the past, while fought off, was still capable of rising to the forefront. How much of her old life would she be forced to unravel? The showdown was coming, and she could feel it in her bones. Would her newfound strength be enough to turn the tide? Rebecca stared at her phone, the screen dark and dispassionate. The echo of Ethan's threat hung in the air, thick and suffocating. She felt a storm inside her, an unsettling mix of fear and resolve. Jake shifted beside her, still gripping her arm, grounding her in this reality. Yet his eyes radiated uncertainty. Rebecca, he said softly, searching her face for confidence. Tell me what you're thinking. She could see the worry etched into his features. I'm thinking he 1T stop until he gets what he wants. He has always played games. He thinks he can manipulate me, and now he is trying to drag you in too. Jake shook his head, his jaw tightening. That's not going to happen. Not on my watch. The fire inside her flared brighter at his words. Then we fight. We gather everything we can about Ethan, expose him for what he really is. I refuse to have him dictate my life anymore. But what if he has something substantial? Jake interjected, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. Something that could ruin everything for you? Rebecca held his gaze, her heart racing. If I'm going to take back control, I have to confront the truth. All of it. I won't let a shadow from the past control my future. Jake sighed, glancing around the small cafe they were in, as if realizing how vulnerable they really were. Fine. But we do this together. I won't let you face this alone. Okay. She breathed, gratitude swelling in her chest. Let us start with my past. I need to remember everything, the good and the bad. Maybe it will help us figure out what he knows. Then we'll find a way to turn the tables. Jake squeezed her hand gently. Together, they would dig into her past. Not just the scarred memories, but the lessons learned too. They spent the next few hours poring over old photos, memories flooding back in vivid flashes. Some made her smile. Others made her stomach churn. Each snapshot was a link to the life that she fought to escape. The joy of friends, the agony of betrayal. And there, amid the jumbled collection, was Ethan, his smile charming, his eyes promising danger ahead. I can't believe I once thought he cared, she muttered, flipping through pages that detailed his charm and her naivety. You were young and he was manipulative. It wasn't your fault, Jake reassured her. You've grown so much since then. Yeah, but I eventually fell into his trap, she replied quietly. I let him define my worth. Jake reached over, erasing the space between them and holding her face in his hands. No, you're not what he painted you to be. You're stronger than that now. You're worthy, and we will prove it together. His confidence bolstered her, igniting a flicker of optimism amidst the storm. She smiled back, but the anticipation of Ethan's next move loomed. Let us get moving, she declared, determination filling her voice. We need to find out what he's up to. If he thinks he can scare me into submission, he's got another thing coming. As they gathered their things, a fresh energy flowed between them. Together, they could face the storm brewing on the horizon. But deep down, Rebecca knew Ethan wouldn't go down without a fight, and she still had no idea what secrets he held. Would he stop at nothing to ruin her? Would she need to reveal her hardest secrets to combat his threats? Just as they stepped into the stark sunlight, a chill swept through her. Would she really succeed in reclaiming her life? Or was this just the beginning of an even darker confrontation? And somewhere in the back of her mind, a stirring question nagged. What exactly would Ethan expose if he chose to strike first? Rebecca stepped out of the cafe, the sun blazing, but an oppressive weight settled on her shoulders. She could feel the tension coiled within her, ready to spring at any moment. Jake's presence beside her felt like a shield against the world, a world that suddenly felt more threatening than ever. Where do we start? Jake asked, glancing at her, eyes lighting with a determined fire. Her mind raced. I think we should focus on the people who knew us back then. Maybe someone has information about Ethan or what he might be holding over me. Good idea, Jake replied, his voice steady. Do you have anyone in mind? There's Lisa, my old best friend. We had a falling out after I cut ties with Ethan, but she might know something. They both hopped into Jake's car, the engine purring to life like a guardian ready to take them on a quest. Rebecca's heart thudded with nervous excitement as they drove through familiar streets. Ghostly memories flashed by. The old diner where they used to hang out, the park where laughter once rang out free and unburdened. Now, every landmark loomed heavy with unspoken words and half-remembered fears. Are you ready for this? Jake asked, breaking her reverie. It's been a long time since I've spoken to her, Rebecca confessed, fidgeting with the bracelet on her wrist, a nervous habit she thought she had outgrown. But I have to know what she knows. As they pulled up to the townhouse where Lisa lived, Rebecca's heart raced. Was she truly ready to face the ghosts of her past? She inhaled deeply, the scent of summer wafting through the open car window, mingling with her apprehension. When she knocked, the door creaked open, revealing Lisa, a stunning woman with curly hair and piercing blue eyes. Yet there was an air of wariness around her. The years had transformed them both. Lisa's voice was a mixture of surprise and caution. It's been a while. I know, Rebecca said, her voice shaking slightly. Can we talk? Lisa's gaze flickered to Jake before stepping aside and gesturing for them to enter. The inside was cozy yet filled with memories, a collage of past friendships along the walls. Rebecca felt a wave of nostalgia, but it was quickly washed away by the reality of what loomed ahead. They settled onto the couch, the air thick with unspoken tension. "What brings you back?" Lisa asked, arms crossed defensively. "There is something I need to know about Ethan," Rebecca replied, keeping her tone steady. "I'm trying to piece together everything that happened." Lisa hesitated, glancing at Jake before focusing back on Rebecca. "Ethan? That's a name I thought I'd never hear again. What has he done?" "He has been threatening me," Rebecca admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I need to know what he might be holding against me." "Did he ever talk to you about anything?" Lisa's expression changed, crossing the line from guarded to concerned. "I didn't know he was still after you. You escaped him, he was obsessed. But there might been things he kept to himself. I can't remember everything, but if he is threatening you, it can't be good." Rebecca's breath caught in her throat. She glanced at Jake, who was listening intently, his expression hardening. "We need to dig deeper," he said. "Maybe there is a way to outsmart him." "Look," Lisa said, leaning forward. "You need to be careful. If he thinks you're investigating, he'll make a move. He always does when he feels cornered." Rebecca nodded, her heart racing. "What do you know?" As Lisa began to speak, Rebecca felt the weight of each word, each name, each hint pressing down on her like an anchor. But then came the final revelation, a truth Lisa revealed that made Rebecca's blood run cold. "Rebecca, there is something you don't know. Ethan has something truly dangerous that could change everything." The room spun as the implications of what was said sunk in. Could this secret hold the key to her freedom, or would it unravel her life completely? Rebecca's heart raced, each thump echoing the weight of the secrets that threatened to crush her. Her eyes widened, locking onto Lisa's, desperate for clarity. "What do you mean? What does he have?" Lisa took a deep breath, the tension in her posture evident. "He has been keeping tabs on you. I thought you knew. He has information, things from your past that could tarnish your reputation, possibly ruin your life." Jake's grip on Rebecca's hand tightened. "What kind of information?" "I don't know specifics, but he was always good at finding dirt. If he feels threatened, he'll use it. He knows your scars, turn them into weapons." Lisa explained, her voice laced with concern. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" Rebecca said, a hint of desperation cutting through her tone. "I thought I had left that life behind. I just didn't want to bring it up. You seemed happy, moving on, building a life," Lisa said. "But if he is threatening you, it's a whole different ballgame. You need to prepare." "What do I do?" Rebecca asked, turning to Jake, her eyes pleading for support. "First, we need to find out exactly what he knows," Jake replied, resolve hardening in his voice. "Then we confront him before he can make any moves against you. We'll turn the tables." Rebecca nodded, feeling the adrenaline pour through her, a mixture of fear, hope, and determination. "Okay, then we need to dig deeper into Ethan's world." Lisa's brow furrowed deeper. "Just be safe. He thrives on fear and manipulation. If he suspects you're onto him, it could backfire." "No more running," Rebecca asserted, the clarity she'd been searching for igniting within her. "I've played his game for too long. It's time to take control." Jake squeezed her hand again, a silent promise that he would be there every step of the way. After leaving Lisa's townhouse, they drove in silence, each lost in their thoughts, the atmosphere charged with a newfound sense of purpose. Rebecca felt the past swirling around her, but this time, she wouldn't let it drown her. The decision to face Ethan head-on felt liberating. "You ready for this?" Jake asked when they came to a stop at a red light. "Yeah," Rebecca replied, her heart steadying. "I was always willing to reclaim my life. I just needed to remind myself what it feels like." They began to map out their plan, gathering intel on Ethan's movements. As days slipped away, the stakes escalated. The further they dove into his world, the more they unearthed contacts, past relationships, old acquaintances who still felt his influence. Finally, the day came when they felt ready. "We can't just confront him blindly. Let us have backup," Jake suggested. They reached out, securing the support of old friends who had seen Ethan's true colors and would stand with them. The closer they got to their showdown, the more Rebecca felt the adrenaline surge through her. On the night of their confrontation, Rebecca donned a simple yet powerful outfit that made her feel strong, just like the woman she had grown into. Jake stood beside her, both an anchor and a warrior of sorts ready to fight her battle. "Are you sure about this?" he asked, concern flickering in his eyes. "More than ever," she answered. "It's all or nothing." They arrived at the bar where Ethan said he'd meet. The atmosphere thrummed with noise, but it felt like all sound faded into the background as they stepped through the door. She spotted Ethan leaning against the bar, a devilish smirk pulling at the corners of his lips the moment he caught sight of her. "Rebecca," he greeted, his tone too smooth, a predatory gleam in his eyes. "I was wondering when you'd finally take my call. We need to talk, Ethan," she said, her voice steady, but inside, she felt the earthquake of memories and fears begin to shift, ready to collapse. "Let us talk then," he replied, motioning for them to sit. The casual way he dismissed Jake's presence sparked her anger anew. "I'm here to stay," Jake asserted, taking a seat beside her. "Such a protective boyfriend you've got here," Ethan chuckled, but Rebecca caught the flicker of tension in his eyes. "I'm not afraid of you anymore, Ethan," Rebecca said, her tone laced with conviction. "You might think you have the upper hand, but you're wrong. Are you sure about that? You seem a little tense," Ethan taunted, his confidence radiating. Her heart quickened, but she pressed forward. "Let us cut to the chase. I know you've been manipulating everything to control me. It ends here. Whatever you think you know, I'm ready for it." Ethan's demeanor shifted. "Oh, you really don't understand the game we're playing, do you? Power and control, these things don't just disappear." Jake leaned forward, unyielding. "You're not going to intimidate her anymore. We know all about your past, Ethan. Your lies, your manipulations." Ethan feigned disinterest, but she saw the flicker of uncertainty beneath his calm facade, as though he could sense the strength building between them. "Is that your strategy? Intimidate me with bravado?" "Cute," he replied, although his voice was tinged with something deeper fear. "This is your final warning," Rebecca said, looking directly into his eyes. "Back off or I'll make sure everyone learns the truth about you. You don't control me anymore." For a fleeting moment, the air crackled with tension, the weight of their confrontation bearing down on all of them. Rebecca held her breath, waiting for Ethan's response, praying it would be the last time she had to deal with him. A silence stretched, then it cracked like thunder. "You really think you can scare me?" he finally replied, a grin unfurling. "I've been playing the long game all along. I've got secrets you can't even fathom. Rebecca, are you ready for me to expose them?" Rebecca's resolve flickered slightly. She could feel the battle raging in this moment. But looking over at Jake, his unwavering support sparked a fire within her. He believed in her even in this very storm. "No, Ethan," she declared with newfound strength. "It's you who will be exposed. I have allies and the truth on my side. It's time for your games to end." She could see the flash of panic across Ethan's face for the first time. "You're making a mistake," he hissed. "I'm making the right choice," she countered. "You're just a chapter in my story, and it's time to close the book." With a palpable intensity, she felt the weight of years falling away. No more shadows, no more fear. Ethan's facade crumbled, leaving behind a streak of desperation. "You'll regret this," he spat, but the winds of change were already blowing, a tide ready to sweep him away. Jake stood by her side, a respectful silence enveloping them, ready to support her whatever the outcome. Together, they left Ethan behind, stepping out into the light together, all fears left in the dark. As they walked away from the bar, Rebecca felt lighter, each step a declaration of freedom from a man who had haunted her dreams. She glanced at Jake, who broke his silence first. "You did it. I did it," she breathed, relief washing over her. "Now it's time to start fresh." "Together," Jake replied, a warmth blooming in her chest. The future stretched out before her. Waiting to be written, this chapter would be one of triumph, resilience, and love. And with every step they took, freedom echoed along the path of their new beginning. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and keep us going. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this amazing transformation. You need to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.